What's up everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you behind the lens some of my concert photography, share some stories and just kind of my thoughts with y'all. So let's get to it. Just as a side note, I might be looking down at my phone, I might be over here or down here. So if you see me looking away from the camera, just know that I'm looking at my phone and there'll be some stuff on screen as I talk about this stuff. So let's get to it. Alright, so the first one here is going to be Mitchell Tenpenny from July of last year, and as you can see, here are some of the pictures on my phone here. But the thing, first off, that got me with these is that when editing them, the color balance was just a little bit off. Not that all the colors were crazy, because in some concert photography experiences, you know, all these different lights and all these different things, and it's hard to find your white balance. The struggle with this was there was like one light that was red that threw off the skin tone and nothing else. So as I'll show you here later on, we kind of messed with that to make some cool looks. But in the initial edits, I tried really hard to get the red out but keep the natural look. And I did a decent job, but as you can see, the skin still looks red. And it really all depended on the monitor I was editing on. It looked good there, but then not in real life. So that was the first one. Also with that, like I said, that was the first concert that I did. So I literally with this one emailed the manager like 30 minutes before I was just going to go to the show as a spectator. I was like, oh, let's see. I recently found the management company and all their addresses and contact information and whatnot. So I tried it, and lo and behold, like within 5 to 10 minutes, that works. So I started to shout out to Kristen from Mitchell Tenpenny's team for making that work, and Elliot, the manager, as well. So I got in contact with all those people and arrived on site, got my pass, and was ready to go. Also, with what you'll notice with some of these photos too is they're mostly all in the pit, and that was because, of course, you get the 3-song rule. But me being a new concert photographer, I either didn't want to risk it or just was a newbie and didn't really know that I could shoot from the back of the house after the 3 songs. So I was told, you know, you get 3 songs in the pit and that's it. And when in reality, that's usually what they mean with just the pit, and you can mess around a little bit outside. Some are serious in that it's 3 songs from the pit and that's it. You can't do anything else, so you have to kind of gauge with the management and kind of how serious they are. And I'll tell you some more behind the scenes stories with that kind of 3-song rule later on too, but let's keep going. All right, so the first artist that popped up on my timeline was Andy Grammer from the Season 97 Gives Back show at Myth. This was my first time at Myth, first time shooting with iHeartRadio. All was really cool. I was a little nervous, of course, because it's the first time I had a shot list and had to kind of bookmark things to do, and I had to be in different places, shoot kind of sponsor stuff, shoot artists, all these kind of things. So it's my first experience with the shot list, which I really appreciated in a kind of a more relaxed environment because it was easy to get used to. But we'll learn more about kind of my art progress as we go. So there's Andy Grammer. There's American Authors, which is actually a cool artist to shoot as well. Here's Yam House. A kind of interesting story behind that, kind of unfortunate for me anyway, was that as I was running through the pit, like I said, going through all these shot lists and making sure I get everything I need for each artist, I did trip on some of like the scaffolding or the paneling in the front of Myth in the pit. If you've been to Myth, you should know what I'm talking about. And actually, my camera fell out of my hands because I run around without a grip or without a strap usually, and the lens hit the ground, and nothing shattered as far as I could tell, but the lens was now stiff and dented and had kind of bent a little bit even. So unfortunately that was a rental lens, so took a few L's in that instance, but was able to learn from it, of course, be more careful, protect your gear, all that kind of stuff. Insurance would have covered it, but I just decided to pay out of pocket because they had my deposit anyhow. So it kind of worked a little bit easier that way. But that was my experience there. So as the show goes on, there was less up close photos, but as I'll show you going forward, I was able to kind of pivot with some of the old lenses I had and kind of use that focal length still as well. So let's keep going. So the next photo that you'll see here is actually of Ashley McBryde, and this actually goes into the second night that weekend where I shot for K102. Kind of the iHeartRadio division here had a big weekend, 2 different selections of shows, so to speak. So Ashley McBryde, she's really good. Got some cool shots there as well from different perspectives of the venue, which is always good. Then this is one of my favorite shots actually from this whole experience, just kind of how the lighting fell and how the shot planned out. This is one of those that wasn't just kind of spray and pray, so to speak. I kind of saw this moment happen right before my eyes and shot the shot, so to speak. I mean, this was, I think, before my lens broke too, so I was able to get really tight from really far away. But this is Julie Barron. She's a local artist, and I just really love this shot, kind of the contrast of it, the moodiness of it, where the light fell. You can't really see anything else but her, which was kind of a cool shot to come across. So there you go. Next, we have Neil Towns from the K102 weekend as well. K102 show. Really a variety of shots here, which is really cool. And you'll notice I got a nice telephoto shot. Well, how do you do that? Well, like I said, I had a vintage lenses in my arsenal back at my house. So after this unfortunate event happened with the rental lens, I realized that I had a 7200 vintage. Of course, it's manual focus, so no autofocus going forward. But at this point, it's just a lot of trial and error. So you zoom in, try to fine tune it as best you can, and stay in that spot to kind of mess around and shoot with. So that's what I did for this one. You can even see up close on the skin and all our skin and stuff. I didn't retouch it because I like the rawness of it. But of course, you can always go back and retouch stuff like that. Here we have OAR from the Series 97 show, more shots of them. And then we're jumping back to country again for the K102 with Gabby Barrett. She actually posted these couple of these photos, and just one, I think it was this one, herself, which is always really cool. You know, I tag artist, hashtag stuff, send them to the management and to the station and stuff as well, trying to get my art back to them. And it's really cool when they do post. This was one of the only people from that weekend that posted stuff, as far as I can tell, besides K102 themselves and iHeart themselves, who I was there to shoot for. This is the only artist I think that posted. So, oh, here's a cool shot. This is one of my favorites as well. This is one of those where I was standing there and saw kind of the light do their thing, and noticed they were kind of repeating and kind of swirling around. So as they came around for this shot, I knew like this is what I wanted, kind of the streaks in front and streaks behind. So I just waited for this shot kind of patiently in the pit, snapped it, and was really, really stoked after I edited it, how it turned out. And of course, you got to switch it up black and white and color as well. These light streaks are really fun and can create some cool moods as well, as you can see here. And of course, you got to get the venue shot. Everybody likes to see the crowd that's at the show as well. So there you go. There, lots of shots. And it's also cool about some of these events is I get all access literally, so I can go run on stage, behind stage, side stage, do whatever. And what's really important about this, as I've learned through the Black and No Cream community and just kind of knew myself, is that you should wear black if you're going to do stuff like this. So then you can kind of just be unnoticeable if you're going to wear some flashy like Supreme shit, or be a little flashy and be a little out there. You're not going to get invited back, and that's going to be the last of the shows you do. So just be really respectful of the artist and anybody else that's shooting the show, so you don't really show up and pop up that much. So that's the way to do that. Let's keep going. Here's more Ashley McBryde. I had lots of photos from that night. I kind of shot a lot. It was a mix of spray and pray, and then just kind of patiently waiting for stuff too, just because I was really new at this point still. So I just kind of shot what I could. And so this was really cool, some cool facial expressions, cool lighting effects and whatnot too. But this is kind of a nice place to shoot. Then you kind of jump between wides and tights and stuff, which is always cool. It's always fun to get these crowd shots too, just different stuff that the crowd can't see or that the crowd wishes they could see, or there's different perspectives overall. So here's more Gabby Barrett. This time I decided to do black and white just to make sure not a whole lot looks the same, have a good variety. All right, so now we jump ahead to December, which was the next thing I did for iHeartRadio. This is when they host their Jingle Ball. Now, I, of course, being new, still didn't get the honor to shoot Jingle Ball itself, but they did have a cool pre-party. This is Elle Winter. We got this cool photo, kind of side stage. I guess you could say almost behind the stage. There's a lot of area to shoot here, which is really cool. You may notice that there's a little noise in here, and that's because the lighting in here wasn't that great. And this was with my unstabilized vintage lens, and of course you have to be a little more mindful with the techniques of photography and kind of the focal length rule 1/250. It was the lowest I really go for this kind of stuff. For that reason, for the adverse shutter rule, or however you want to describe it. Here's Spencer Sutherland. This was shot from the pit front with my 12-35 Panasonic, and this was again a little noisy, but this is a cool shot because he's literally right above me. And so you pray for stuff like this to happen when you're in the spot that the artist comes to you, and so that's always good to see there. As we keep going, this is Stephen Puth from on stage, backstage, rear stage, so to speak, with the lights and the colors in the crowd a little bit and stuff. This is AJ Mitchell from side stage or pit, I can't remember, but just a cool personality shot. All right, just as a cool note to wrap up this Jingle Ball selection, this pre-party, it was actually really cool because if I really actually wanted to, I think I could have shot the real Jingle Ball event. I did have a pass that should and could have got me in there. Of course, I didn't want to mess with anybody, get anybody's bad side, so I did what I could, and just at the pre-party, sponsors, artists, that kind of thing, more shot lists at these iHeartRadio events to kind of do a variety of things so everybody's happy with the content that they get, whether it's sponsors and artists and the station and all that stuff too. So I just do what I was supposed to do. Next year, hopefully by the time Jingle Ball comes around, coronavirus will be done with, so I'll be able to get back to that event and maybe shoot the main stage in that big XL, which is a goal of mine at this point too still, so that'd be awesome. But let's keep going. All right, let's keep going here. The next concert I did was featuring Madison Kozak and Morgan Evans on their kind of nationwide, I guess, tour. Smaller venue, but also good varsity theater. One of my favorites, actually, of the smaller kind at this point. I've shot in it the most times too, I think, at this point. So this was really a fun show. Here, as you can see, Madison Kozak here, some Morgan Evans. Really cool. Of course, three songs in the pit, and then I kind of got free reign the rest of the show, which was really cool. Cool shots in color and also black and white. This was a really cool shot too, because this was a more emotional song, so the lighting was more emotional. So it's always cool to capture those kind of irregular and more emotional lighting setups. Just as where it's more about the song and the words, and then the actual performance, which is really cool. Love to capture this emotion too. You just wait for these moments to happen, and what do? You just go bang, bang, bang to get the right moment, get the right emotion, get the right expression, all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. So we'll keep going here. There's gonna be some more Morgan Evans stuff. Yep, here you go. Here's a nice portrait of him from the pit. He kind of stepped out of the prime lighting for a minute, but there was still some sunlight. I was able to move and adapt to him, so that was really cool. Got that shot, which is really nice. More Madison Kozak here. More Morgan from the back of the venue. I love running around, finding different angles and finding good angles here. There's definitely some not so good angles in varsity, but I was able to find the good ones. Before we jump to Dylan Scott at a different concert there, I do want to say that as part of the varsity theater, I made some connections outside of Morgan Evans. Of course, getting the pass to the show, I was able to contact his management and maybe even him directly. I don't even really know. It's through him on Facebook, through his Facebook page, so it might even have been him. Maybe I'll never know. Anyway, so I was able to get to the show through him and his management. But when I was at the show, I actually met a promoter. So one of the three facets of concert photography where you want to know how to get a pass or getting passes to music events in general is you either go through the management slash artist, I guess, management artist, the venue itself, the promoters, which is half of what happened here, and then publication or the radio station. So I've at this point now done all three. I heart the management, managers, and artists, and then here this promoter. So this is really cool. It happened somewhat quickly too as far as my lifespan of concert photography went. But anyway, let's keep going. You saw a little preview there before. Dylan Scott was on tour with Brandon Lay and Brentley Gilbert for the Fired Up tour. This was the biggest venue I'd ever shot. The first time I shot in Target Center, actually, which is really cool. That shot was from the pit. Same weekend, within the same couple days, I actually shot Matt Stell at Wild Greg's. This venue wasn't as great as the Target Center, of course. The bigger the venue, the better usually. This was a really small bar. It was actually pretty thoroughly packed with people. There was actually no dedicated photo area, no pit, no nothing. So something to complain about if you really like to complain, but still a good show. I got some cool shots, so there's really nothing to complain about there. Some venues are just better suited for concerts than others as far as the production media standpoint goes. All right, here we go back to the Target Center with Brandon Lay, who actually got the photo pass through him and his management, which is really thankful and really grateful for them. Here's Dylan Scott, got some lots of cool shots, was able to meet his, or see his media guy kind of in action there too, which is really cool. Of course, here's Brentley Gilbert, the headliner of the tour. Was really crazy about some of these shows. Oh, I lost it, where'd it go? Technical difficulties, whoop. Here we go, back at it. Was really cool about some of these shows too, and really interesting, done that twice now. What's really interesting about some of these shows is actually how much time the artists actually take on stage. So after a while, I mean, you had your routine with some of these bigger venues even too. You go as high as you can, as close as you can, kind of in between, all these different angles, hit all these different spots, because you never know which spot is going to look the best. And you always like to try new things too, right? So what's really cool with these artists is they perform a lot. Like Brentley Gilbert had like 25 songs he's performing. So actually at this show, I actually got a ton of shots and was kind of worn out at that point. You shoot 3 artists, you're there early. It's a long time to be at a show. And standing on your feet too and whatnot. So actually at this point, I didn't stay till the end of Brentley Gilbert. I actually jumped out a little early. A, because the Ubers were more available. But then B, just because I had gotten all the shots I needed. Kind of the highlights of the show usually happen in the beginning and the middle. And so as it winds down, there's maybe good encore stuff, but not as much stuff happens towards the end usually. But I'll get proved wrong, maybe I already did and don't even know it. Actually, a fun kind of story related to that. Let's go back here a little bit. At the Morgan Evans show, I was ready to leave. And we'll see the shot cover as more recent posts come up. But I was ready to leave, and in the back of my head, I was like, no, you can't leave. There might be a special moment at the end. And of course, at these smaller shows is where that stuff was more likely to happen. Kind of the special moments at bigger shows usually happen earlier, but it can happen towards the end. So maybe this is a learning time for me. Take a mental note of just stay for the whole show, find a place to sit or whatever, and chill out for a moment. Just so you can get that last song if there's any special moments there. Pro tip: stay till the end. Don't be like me. All right, like I said, Dylan Scott and Matt Stell all happened the same weekend. Brandon Lay, all that. Some cool shots here. This is one of my favorite shots now to get, especially at bigger venues. This is usually where it's more possible, is seeing the spotlight and the artist at the same time. The spotlight's usually at the back of house, front of house, however you want to call it, the back of the venue. And so you have to get kind of on the other side of the stage, which is a little easier when the stage is bigger and more spread out. This one was actually in a T, where here's the main stage with the band and stuff, and then there was a kind of a little pillar even more forward where they could come out and perform, the artists themselves, the singers of the group anyway, so to speak. So that was really cool. As I said, kind of running to the top of the venue is always fun too, to get the full atmosphere shot. And just some cool facial expressions from this guy. So we'll keep going. You're seeing this. Let's show some more. Bradley Gilbert. This is another cool shot that I like again, the spotlight on the artist and kind of the whole atmosphere. It's always fun to get. You'll see, maybe you already did, that he actually rode a motorcycle out for this show, which is really cool. Here's Ray Fulcher and Chris Bandy. They were part of the Matt Stell little show too. What's really cool about Ray Fulcher, at least, is that he's a writer with Luke Combs a lot. So he performed some of Luke's songs that he had written and helped pen with him, so that's really cool. Chris Bandy's also a really good artist, and some more Matt Stell group shots in here too. I was able to make the most out of this venue. Of course, like I said, it wasn't the most ideal, but you live and learn. Here's Valentine's Day at the Myth with Midland, and a lot of M's, but this is a really cool show. They pulled on the vibe. They're a bunch of partiers, and so a show on Valentine's Day is right up their alley, so they're going to throw a good time. What's really cool about this show, it doesn't happen a lot, so fair warning if you're into concerts or starting, this is rare. But I was actually able to get permission to go wherever, whenever for the whole show, right? For the most part anyway. I don't think I should have gone backstage, but I'll tell you that story in a second. So yeah, I was able to go wherever I wanted for the whole show. There's no 3-song limit up front, 3-song limit anywhere really. Just shoot wherever you want for the whole show. It was really awesome. Shout out to Midland for having really cool standards that way. Still going here, that's good. Here's some more Matt Stell kind of jumping back and forth, just making sure all the shots get seen. There's really fun lighting in this show as the show went on. This is one of those shows that was a little darker too, so you may notice some noise ingrained in these photos, but it just adds to the vibe of the whole experience. So live and learn there too, I guess. More Midland stuff. All these guys, like I said, like to have fun, partied, had all this dance moves and facial expressions that you would need as a concert photographer. So that was really cool. Bunch of personalities too, which is always awesome. We're moving forward and jumping into February even more here. This was Travis Denning at the Mystic Lake Casino. He was on the Dustin Lynch tour. Dustin Lynch was after him. What was actually really interesting about this show is I contacted Travis's management. I'm like, hey, you can come shoot the show, blah, blah, blah. I want to get some photos of Travis. Yeah. Don't want to give away all my secrets during this, so some stuff I'll breeze over. Anyhow, what was really interesting about this show is that I was actually only able to shoot 3 songs. Not so rare, I guess, but what was the rare is only from front of house. Front of house isn't the front like it makes it sound. It's the sound booth, which is usually towards the back. So I was really grateful to even get access to the show. It's kind of a last minute deal. So got some good shots, was able to shoot Travis and listen to some of his music as well. But that's one of those shows where you're in and out. If you can't shoot, sometimes they don't stick around. So what do you do? Shout out to the whole team for getting me in there. Again, some more Midland stuff, this time in black and white. I love to shoot all kinds of different angles, all kinds of different photos, and then pick and choose different black and white moments. Sometimes facial expressions kind of lend themselves more black and white and whatnot. So there you go. But here we go. This was the last show I shot in kind of the chronological order, I guess, before the coronavirus stuff hit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that too as we go on here. But this is Brett Young in Mankato. The farthest I've driven for his show. This is a bigger venue too, which is always fun. More of an arena, which is a great venue to shoot as kind of an overall category if you can put on your bucket list. This was me in the pit, so to speak, I guess, in the front. What was really interesting about this show too, they had wireless cameras in the pit, or wireless cameras, just cameras in the pit, which like just on big tripods and stuff, which I hadn't seen before. So you have to work around some stuff and be mindful of what else is in the pit, who else is in the pit for that matter. For actually most of these shows, I was only dealing with 1, maybe 2 photographers in the pit at a time. Sometimes there was no photographers in the pit. Like at the Midland show, I was the only one there for the most part. So you take what you can get at this point. So here's Brett Young, black and white, really emotional shot. Him singing his heart out. Good show, great guy. Matt Ferranti opened up for Brett Young as part of Brett Young's band too. There's his own little set, which is really cool that Brett gives the guys the opportunities that way. Here's one of my favorite shots, as I've said before, with the lights and the artists and whatnot. some cooling motion, lights, all that stuff. Big wide shots, I love those too as well, kind of show the whole personality and what people can or can't see. Here's some more re-edits of some of the shots you've seen already. This is just me going over some of the stuff we're talking about today. Here's some more shots from a while back. I always like to post as many shots as you can from these shows, and what's funny too about concert photography is don't be afraid to go through your archive for this. I'm searching through the photos I've already edited and finding some gold that I kind of didn't think of that good before, just kind of breezed over and didn't think too much about. So look back through your photos. I always edit my photos pretty much all the way through the night of the show, just so it's fresh in my mind, and all the information is there, all the cool stuff that happened, I kind of can put it all together. But then you kind of lose track of all the moments you've captured after the night goes on, and you just kind of go on and live your life. So I always like to go back and edit shots, or find shots and maybe switch from black and white to color, vice versa, and then post them, because some cool shots pop up here and there. Again, some more shots from the archive, Midland and whatnot. Here's kind of a cool thing I did, speaking of re-editing, kind of a more old school film, red show, I don't know. Like I said, what was really interesting about this show is that the lighting was kind of off just a little bit, so I just kind of played with that, tried to get the best skin tone here, which made the rest of the lighting go kind of out of whack, but I like it actually. Here's the shot I was talking about, Bentley going on a motorcycle. He rode this out to the show on the stage and back, so that was really cool. Some more re-edits. Like I said before, I mentioned some of the cool moments that can happen if you decide to leave early and you miss. This was one of those times where I was like, oh, I can leave, the show's winding down to in a little while, I'm a little tired, whatever, I'm ready to go. Then there's something in the back of my mind that said, no, you should leave because there could be a special end of show moment. So I'll tell you about this one here now. This was Morgan Evans and his assistant tour manager, I think he said. Anyhow, told a story about how one of the shows they did early on the tour, their gear got lost or didn't ship, went to the wrong place. All they had was a couple guitars. So they did a full acoustic show, and so as a part of that and kind of honoring that moment and kind of just kind of sharing that with the rest of the tour, they decided to do one of their songs acoustic like they did during that show when they didn't have a choice. Of course, now they do keep their track of their stuff. They had their stuff for this show. It's just a really cool moment that I wouldn't have got if I left, because it was one of the last songs that was played. So what's cool with this too is I was able to support Live Nation and all the crew guys that put on shows. Shout out to Live Nation for putting together the Crew Nation Fund. I didn't need to use it personally because I, of course, have a full-time job and have all their income. But guys that live and die in the industry like this don't have jobs at this point because there's no shows happening. So shout out to Live Nation for putting together the Crew Nation Fund. They had merch, you can direct donate. Put the link in the bio too, and maybe in a card up here so you can check that out. But pretty much that wraps it up, I think, as far as the shows I've shot. Like I said, coronavirus put a damper on stuff I've shot. So this is another shot from Midland. Like I said, don't be afraid to go through the archives and find some cool stuff that you missed the first time. Like I might have hinted at earlier too, the first show I shot was in college. This is one of the shots from that show. Lots of S words. So this is the main shot in college in Cedar Falls where I was. The main four-door theater, and then a local band, the Hex Girls, performed at this show. Shot over like 1,200 photos. It was the most I've shot at a concert at that point. Probably still close to the top of the amount of photos I've shot at a concert at this point too. But it was my first concert, so it was a lot of eye-opening experiences that way. As I was in college and kind of a more less strict event, I was able to shoot most of the show anywhere I wanted. I'm not sure they had a pit. Oh no, they had a pit, but I might have been too scared of shooting it or didn't have permission. I don't know. We got permission with the organization that put on the show, so you just kind of take what you can get there. I was able to get some good shots, black and white and color and all that stuff. So here's some more Brett Young stuff. Like I said, that was the last show I shot, so I keep going back to that and others to find some stuff to post once in a while. And that's about it. So, all right, thanks for watching the video, everybody. If you want to check my Instagram, it'll be down below, and I might even put it up here too, but feel free to check it out wherever it is. You'll see more of the photos that I didn't go into here. I didn't swipe through some of the multi-photo posts as much as I could have, so you'll feel free to see everything down below on my Instagram. Check it out. Give me a follow. Otherwise, like and subscribe here on YouTube as well. That'll help me share these videos with the people, and the artists might even see them at some point. So if you're a concert photographer yourself, take or shout out your favorite concert in the comments below, as we're all kind of missing that experience at this point as the coronavirus is happening. Hopefully the restrictions will lighten up as the peak happens, and then we go back down to somewhat normal life. We'll get back shooting here soon. But like I said, if you like this video, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace. That was